The Pirates boat raced the Padres 11-5 in Game 1 of this series here in beautiful San Diego. Tonight, it is Game number 2 from Petco Park as the Pirates look for their 8th straight victory. Hi again, everybody, with John Wehner. I'm Tim Neverett. Robbie Smikowski joins us tonight also. That's right, the Pirates have won 7 in a row, a season best winning streak for them, and it's no coincidence that while the Pirates are winning, Andrew McCutchen's really hitting the baseball.
Exactly right. No coincidence. It's kind of shocking to see him struggle the way he did earlier in this year. But he's back to the old Andrew McCutchen, the MVP type Andrew McCutchen, covering the breaking ball out over the plate for a double, the fastball down and away. He's hitting it the other way, as you'll see here in a moment. Andrew McCutchen covering all corners of the plates, driving in runs, hitting the ball in the ballpark. And, yeah, no coincidence the Bucs are winning games.
And it seemed that for McCutchen, the switch went on for him right around the 7th of May. And you look at his numbers since, he's raised his batting average almost 100 points.
Yeah, and you look at the OPS, that means he's hitting extra base hits, hitting, obviously the runners in scoring position numbers. Give an assist to Josh Harrison since he's been added to the leadoff spot or reinserted to that spot. He's had a lot of opportunities, and he has certainly cashed in.
So McCutchen and the Pirates getting set for the second game of this 4-game series with the San Diego Padres. Francisco Liriano looking for more swings and misses tonight from the opposition. He'll take on James Shields. We'll set up the pitching matchup when we come back to San Diego. Preparing himself for tonight's ball game, hopes to get that slider and changeup working against these Padres. And Rock, he had an outstanding outing against the Mets, striking out a season-high 12, and he's just 1-2 against the Padres in his career in 4 starts, looking for another win.
Yeah, 1-2, but a 2.42 ERA against these Padres, and a nice bounce-back start against those Mets. Had everything working after a rough outing against the Twins the previous start against James Shields, who can be very tough. His first start against the Bucs should be a good pitching matchup.
James Shields, a lot of curveballs, a lot of changeups. Shields and Liriano, that's the pitching matchup tonight here in San Diego. Let's send you back to Pittsburgh right now. Rod King is standing by with this game break.
Get start on the North Shore where the flags fly high and all around the burg with a glass to the sky. Came here to win for our city, lay it all on the line. Are you with me? Waited 5 days for the week to end. Let it all out, come on, join your friends. Rocks, yeah, it's finally here. Give us something to cheer for, you know it. Rocks, gonna bring us a win. Get the W, we came to own it.
On Root Sports, and the Pirates' bats have been rocking lately. They pounded out a season-high 15 hits last night in Game 1, and tonight hope to try to do much of the same. Maybe the dance helps, I'm not sure. But they'll need whatever they can against right-hander James Shields tonight. We'll take a look at the Pirates lineup presented by Toyota. Leading off is Gregory Polanco tonight. Walker in the second spot, then McCutchen and Marte. Jung Ho-Kang. 2 outs and runners in scoring position. He's batting .400. Had a monster home run last night in the first inning. Pedro Alvarez, Francisco Cervelli, Jordy Mercer hitting 8th, and Francisco Liriano, the pitcher, bats 9th. As Polanco hopes to get things going. He had a home run in the second inning last night. And James Shields will be opposing the Bucks.
Big game James, perfect 6-0 record, 3.75 ERA. A couple numbers that stick out. There, home runs, 15 home runs allowed already, 8 here at Petco Park. Also, 82 strikeouts, so he's able to strike you out. A lot of breaking balls. Does not throw a lot of fastballs. Mixes in a curveball and changeup, a lot of curveballs. He'll throw as many curveballs as he will fastballs. So the Pirates, look him up, get the ball up, out over the plate. Hopefully he'll make some mistakes, hit more homers.
Well, there's a familiar face playing shortstop tonight for the Padres. Clint Barmas. The rest of the infield, Middlebrooks at third, Jerko at second. Another familiar face to people in the Pittsburgh region out of West Virginia. Solarte's at first, Norris behind the plate, Upton, Almonte, and Kemp in the outfield tonight for San Diego. Just another Chamber of Commerce type of day here. They have a lot of those in San Diego. Beautiful night for baseball.
Well, almost like it'll get boring living here, having the same weather day after day.
Boring might be one word. I can think of a few others, but it's nice, that's for sure. Sitting out on the hill out in right center field near the Tony Gwynn statue. Great family spot. Well, just about set to get this one underway as Polanco steps in against James Shields. Shields has never faced the Pirates before. The first pitch fouled into the glove of Norris for strike 1. We're underway. In fact, this is one of 2 teams that Shields has never faced. The Milwaukee Brewers the other. 65 degrees, the game time temperature here tonight. Same as last night. Pitch outside. Now Gregory's home run last night pretty impressive. Traveled an estimated 414 feet to left center field. And he hits this one up in the air towards center. Drifting over is Almonte. Abraham Almonte makes the catch, and there's one gone for the Pirates in the first.
So much has been talked about with the ballpark and the ball carrying, especially out the left and left center field. Polanco, maybe one of the hardest balls I've seen him hit. And having said that, I'm still not sure if last year that ball gets out in left center. Don't see lefties other than Adrian Gonzalez, the only lefty I've ever seen hit a ball out in that part of the ballpark.
Yeah, it's hard to get him out here in that part of the park if you're left-handed. Neil Walker facing Shields. Walker, a multi-hit effort last night. 3 hits for him. In fact, the top of the order last night, Harrison, Walker, and McCutchen. 2 hits for Harrison, 3 for Walker, 3 for Kutch. You go down one more spot to Marte. He added a 2-run home run. Reached base 3 times. McCutchen with a couple of doubles. RBI, a couple of runs scored. Here's the pitch to Walker.
A little bit of a cutter right there. Not an exceptionally hard thrower. That fastball stayed 90 to 92.
Ground ball slowly hit to Solarte. Toss to Shields covering. 2 out. 2 men out for the Pirates in the top half of the first. And Andrew McCutchen coming up. Our Rivers Casino tips to win, John.
Hopefully the Pirates will continue to hit the long ball. That's about all James Shields has been giving up. I mentioned the 15 home runs, 12 solo shots, 3 two-run homers. 18 of the 29 runs he's allowed have come from the long ball. And when we get on defense, hopefully Francisco Liriano will throw some more first pitch strikes. I think he's always tougher to hit ahead in the count, and he'll get the chases, that great changeup and that devastating slider.
1 ball, no strikes to McCutchen. 272. 7 homers and counting. That's the thing about Shields. He's given up more home runs than anybody else in the game this year. He's given up 15 home runs already through his first 10 starts.
Everybody was shocked that saw those numbers coming into San Diego yesterday.
3-0. Two starts ago against the Cubs, Shields threw 43 curveballs in his outing. He'll throw a lot of them. And a fastball mostly for show, and there it was right there. 3-1.
A little surprised that Andrew wasn't swinging there. 3-0. Pretty good pitch to hit.
That's a little dribbler that'll go foul. So the count now full, 3-2 to Andrew.
I think a lot of people will think, well, you get 3-0 fastball, you'll probably get the same pitch if you take 3-0, you get the same pitch at 3-1. But Shields took something off of that. I'm not sure if that was a changeup or he took something off the cutter, but just 85, 86 miles per hour had Andrew out in front.
3-2 to Kutch. Outside ball 4, and the Pirates have their first base runner. 2-out walk is issued to Andrew McCutchen. This will bring up Starling Marte now to face Shields.
And I would have to think that the home runs are in the back of Shields' mind, and he's going to be very careful not to make mistakes. Whether there's runners on or not. He's been very, very good when runners get on base. League hitting just 151 against him with runners in scoring position. Runners on period, just 190. And so I'm sure he's aware that it's an alarming number of homers this early in the year. And so he's going to be careful not to miss over the middle.
Marte chops one down to third base. Middlebrooks has it. Throws to first, and safe is Marte with a base hit. Well, Middlebrooks probably didn't have the grip he wanted on the baseball. Took him a little longer to get it over there, but Marte with good speed beats it out.
I think he kind of took it for granted. He just kind of nonchalanted this. Hey, there's no reason to catch this ball on the run. He could have got over there, planted his back foot, caught it, and let it go. But he just kind of maybe wanted to try to be a little bit fancy, just nonchalantly moving towards the line, make an off-balance throw. And again, you're right. He did not get a handle right away, but you show a little more urgency there. It's a pretty easy play.
So now 2 men on and 2 out for Jung-Ho Kang, who's hitting .400 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Takes the first pitch for a strike.
Shields coming at Jung-Ho. Jung-Ho first pitch, that 3-run homer yesterday. A hanging slider first pitch. Another ball. It was tattooed. Perhaps the hardest ball Gung has hit.
And ground ball to third. Middlebrooks will step on the bag and make the easy play, forcing out McCutchen. No runs a hit, 2 left. No score after half inning. Presented by Honda for San Diego. Blackstein. Solarte, Norris, and Upton. First 3. Then Kemp in the cleanup spot. Will Middlebrooks batting 5th. Last 9 games. Hitting .361. He had an 0 for 22 streak at one point this season, but has come out of that. Jed Jerko, then Abraham Almonte. Clint Barmes batting 8th. James Shields bats 9th against Francisco Liriano.
Well, Liriano just 2-4, 3.86 ERA. 53 innings. The league still just under 200 batting average against, 194. Coming off a stellar performance of 12 strikeouts and 6 innings of work. Liriano sure like to get on the mound and have some of that run support that AJ saw in last night's game.
Hervis Solarte, ground ball right to Walker in the shift. First pitch, 1 out. That's a quick one. Walker records the first infield assist. Jordy Mercer back out there at shortstop tonight. We'll take a look at the Pirates defensively. Young, Mercer, Walker, Alvarez around the infield. Cervelli catching, Marte, McCutchen, and Polanco in the outfield. Jordy out there tonight. Josh Harrison not starting. And that's kind of this rotation now. It involves Polanco. You can have Harrison start at third or in right. Gung at short or at third. And tonight it's Mercer's night to be back in there at shortstop.
Yeah, I'm sure Clint Hurdle's going to want to keep all those guys fresh. Get them as many at-bats as possible. Obviously, with the way Jung Ho has come on, he's deserving of more playing time. But Clint Hurdle's not going to forget about Jordy Mercer. And he's not going to, keep him out of the lineup for long.
Off-speed pitch, and out in front was Norris. And quickly, it's 0-2. Norris hitting .281. 28 RBIs. He's got more runs batted in, more doubles than any other catcher in the National League. And Frankie makes quick work of him. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Strikes him out on 3 pitches.
So tough to hit when Liriano's ahead in the count. 3 above average major league pitches. This is the slider. And chases it out of the zone. We see it all the time, and it's because it has so much movement. It has such great tight spin. Can't recognize it. Just disappears under the bat.
Justin Upton, left fielder, hitting in the 3rd spot, batting .299 here in his new home in San Diego. Strike delivered. Our Barrel Automotive League leaders stat, the major league leaders in whiff percentage, swings and misses. And Liriano on top of that list, 34% of the time he'll get a swing and miss. James Shields on the list also. He is third. Strike two.
Nothing but strikes. First 6 pitches. Can he lay off the slider?
They got him a 7-pitch inning for Francisco Liriano. He retires the Padres in order.
To you by Toyota. Toyota helps you get the most out of your drive. Just ask a friend who drives one. Toyota, let's go places. By Barrel Automotive, we're driven to be better. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Let's go Bucks.
Friday Night Rocks here on Root Sports. Folks, a little far away from home plate out there in the hill, but it's a nice place to hang out on a very pleasant evening in San Diego, California. Pedro Alvarez will lead off the second. No score here. And Shields faces Pedro. And delivers a strike to him. Pedro's numbers, 239. He's been hitting the ball pretty well lately. And driving in some runs, too. Got 6 RBIs over his last 6 games. 1 ball and 1 strike.
They had that no RBI streak consecutive games. The one guy really not involved in the offense last night.
Maybe tonight's the night. Last 6 games, 368, 2 home runs. Two one is belted right to Jed Jerko. Took a hit away.
That stinks. Yeah, that and even though you'd think with Pedro, and he had a couple big hits in the homestand the other way through the left side, that you maybe get him off the shift a little bit, maybe make him a little more honest. But yeah, that ball was roped, hit very hard, and just have to go back frustrated.
Where do you think batting averages might be today if there was no shift in baseball?
They'd be a lot higher. I think
generally they probably. I mean, I think they'd have to be higher. So many hits are taken away with the shift now.
I mean, there would be got guys that would lean one way or the other, and take away or shift one way or the other in the infield. Obviously not to this extent where you got a guy out in the outfield. And that's, I think, the worst for a left-handed batter. Obviously, you're not going to do it with a right-handed batter because you can't play a shortstop out in short left field and think you're going to throw anybody out at first base. But maybe even AJ's warming up to it.
Cervelli a base hit. He continues to get knocks. He's going to hit for second base. Cervelli chugging towards second. He's in with a double. 8th double of the season. Cervelli leading the team in batting average. Came into the game hitting .320. And now adds an extra base hit to his portfolio.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake pitch there. A curveball hanging middle. James Shields just shakes his head, frustrated with himself. And Cervelli continues to give you a professional at bat time after time.
3 for 5 last night. He had a 3-run homer Monday against Miami. And here he is with a double in his first at bat. Second hit for the Pirates tonight. And Jordy goes to the right side, but that'll twist out of play. And Jordy's been hitting the ball much better lately. After he sat out in Chicago the last road trip, things are starting to pick up for him in spite of the 189 average and lack of production last little while. Seems like he's got some confidence back at the plate.
The average will continue to climb.
Shields with a fastball that time. And it's 0-2 to Jordy. He's hit well in this ballpark. 5 games previously here. He's 8 for 19 with a home run. Over his last 4 games, hitting .364. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Always a tough position to hit. The pitcher behind you. Although with 1 out, you're figuring you're going to see strikes. 2 outs, you never know if they're going to give you anything to hit. But obviously ahead in the count, Shields is going to try not to throw a pitch in the zone and hope to get a chase.
Count is even, 2-2. Derek Norris with the block. James Shields had a full ride to LSU to play baseball. Turned it down when he signed his first pro contract with Tampa Bay.
See there, Derek Norris with series of signs, not only the fingers but also the touches, and based on what we just saw there, Norris went to touches first before he went with the fingers, and leads me to believe that these touches don't mean a whole lot of anything, because once Shields shakes off, they go right back to the fingers.
And the count now full. You see Norris has the stickers on his fingernails to make sure Shields can see his signs.
You see the curveball there, that tight spin in the late break. A good big league curveball, unless, you know, it's hard to describe what it looks like. And certain guys, it's almost physically impossible to get a ball to break as much as it does, and Shields has a good one.
Full count pitch coming to Jordy. Struck him out. First strikeout of the night for Shields.
And not giving it. 3-ball, 2-count pitch. Not a fastball, not the cutter, but right on right changeup. Coming in off the plate, that little late tail.
It's about as close as we can get you to the hitter's point of view. Watching the ball come out of the pitcher's hand. So Jordy strikes out, 2 men out. And Francisco Liriano looking for his second hit of the season. Pops it up. This ball looks like it's going to make the seats. Well, made the dugout. Middlebrooks and Norris running out of room.
Yeah, that last pitch to Jordy Mercer, the 3-2 changeup, probably the toughest pitch for a hitter to pick up, to recognize. The same arm speed, the ball comes out, it has similar rotation to the fastball. I think it's easier for a hitter to pick up a cutter and see the movement on a cutter than it is to pick up anything different with the changeup.
And fouled off. That's 2 strikes.
One for 16 for Frankie. He's hit some balls hard, though. Hitting a little bit of bad luck. Put the ball in play more times than not. And I think as a manager, you'll take that from your pitchers if they can put the ball in play more times than not.
Shields strikes out 2 in the inning. Cervelli with a double. He's left at second.
높게 날아갑니다. 3런 홈런. 강정호가 홈런을 뽑아냅니다. 강정호의 3런 홈런 3대0 앞서는 피츠버그.
And if you watched that last night, that's how it went down live all throughout the nation of South Korea. It was live, carried national television for Jung-ho Gun. I asked him today how many people watched the ballgame and who he may have heard from last night after that big ball game and the dramatic home run that he hit early in the ball game. He said he heard from a lot of family and friends, but most importantly, he heard from a lot of teammates, former teammates from the KBO. They said, well, what did they say about the homer? He said, very simple. Congratulations. Now, he didn't hear from anyone really who surprised him, Tim and John, but he did have one surprise, and that's his dad. But the surprise was that he didn't get a message from his dad. Usually he hears from his dad after every game because he watches it back in South Korea when he's there. Now, games are available locally in Gung City, but that was the last time, basically the equivalent of broadcast television all over the country. So he made a good showing for the first time in MLB back in South Korea.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal. People barely settled into their seats, and he hit a 3-run homer.
It was loud. Certain guys for this Pirates team have a loud bat. Andrew McCutchen is one. Jung-ho Gung certainly another.
That was a great moment for him last night. Fun to watch. Matt Kemp starting things off for the Padres in the second. Kemp batting in the cleanup spot. Just one home run on the year. And it's 1-1. That's a little different in a Padre uniform.
Yeah, I'd say.
Accustomed to seeing him in a Dodger uniform. Out in front, a swing and a miss. It'll be Kemp and then Middlebrooks and Jerko this inning. 1-2 pitch from Frankie. Struck him out, did he? Yes, he did. John Tempane, the umpire at first base, brings him up on appeal. That's 3 straight strikeouts for Liriano.
Yeah, that good breaking ball. And again, when Liriano gets out in front, so hard to hit. Again, the hard late movement. Kemp can't hold up, and he continues his struggles. Got some boo birds here in San Diego for Kemp. Got off to a good start. Good April, but a miserable May.
Kemp now 0 for his last 6. And Middlebrooks, a swing and a miss. Off-speed pitch from Liriano. And Kemp 0 for 4 in last night's game. In his past road trip, he went 5 for 23. And he hasn't hit a home run since the 18th of April, so it's been well more than a month for Kemp. And Middlebrooks now 1-2. And 12 of his first 14 pitches, Rock, have gone for strikes.
Yeah, and all 3 of them working. The fastball, changeup, and the slider.
Middlebrooks, that's past the diving gun and down the line. Hits that sidewall and stops, so Middlebrooks will walk in with a double. First hit off Liriano. Middlebrooks had a good night last night with the bat. Had 3 hits. Best of any Padre, and he keeps it going in his first at bat tonight.
Yeah, just don't see many guys hit that ball hard, that slider. And that's a pitch we've seen already, a couple of strikeouts on that hard slider that breaks down and in. But somehow Middlebrooks able to center it up.
Double number 6 for Middlebrooks. There's West Virginia's Jed Jerko. Strike 1 to him.
And Jerko just hitting 203 Pirate infielders on the left side. And you'd almost have to be tempted if you're Jerko and facing a guy like Liriano to think the other way. You almost have to, because of the late movement. It's so hard to pick up that you can't look to pull Liriano. I mean, he throws as many breaking balls as he does fastballs, and so in your mind you almost think, I got to stay back, hit this ball on the right side just to stay on it. And that right there is why most don't. Is he has enough on his fastball, you don't know when he's going to throw it, and then he throws it in under your hands, and you're thinking, I got to get it ready. That's what makes Liriano so tough. You can never pick up speed and spin, and he'll constantly keep you off balance.
Like that.
Yeah, and able to backdoor the breaking ball there. But I would think, the best way to try to go up there and face Francisco Liriano is just look for the ball up above the belt and try to hit it to right.
2-2 pitch to Jed Jerko. 3-2. Jerko 9 for 27 against left-handers, hitting .333 against the Southpaws this year. And on deck, the center fielder Abraham Almonte, switch hitter, a bat righty. Payoff pitch fouled off.
That was a breaking ball above the belt, away. A late swing from Jerko.
Will play more against left-handers now. Clint Barmas will get the start at shortstop against lefties. Like Sam Marista against the right-handers, so he'll get the majority of them. And ground ball to third base. Gung looks Middlebrooks back. Throws a strike to first. And there are 2 men out.
Chase him back, Jung Ho. Middlebrooks took a step or two towards third. But, that's all you got to do is get them to change direction. And they're not going to go anywhere. And it's an easy play.
So here is Almonte. Almonte went 0 for 4 in this series recently completed against the Angels in interleague play up in Anaheim. He was called up from AAA on the 8th of May. He's been here ever since. 1-0 pitch from Liriano. Way out in front. Almonte in there in center field tonight for Bud Black. Normally it'd be Will Venable, but Venable a left-handed hitter. And Almonte a switch hitter, so Padres feel they can get a right-handed bat in there and have him play center field. Got him to chase that one.
Yeah, again, no surprise. You see it all the time. It must just drive hitters crazy to go up there and they've seen film on Liriano. They know the percentages of pitches in the zone, out of the zone. They see the chases on TV. And yet they go up there and continue to chase.
You think you know what you're going to get when you go up there, right? And you get it, and you still can't hit it. You're expecting it, and you still can't hit it.
Mm-hmm.
How frustrating is that?
Well, I mean, to me, that's again, it's you'd have to, I guess, be in the box to experience it, to realize it. The Twins did a nice job of not chasing, and it's almost like you almost expect the ball above the belt or take it.
4 strikeouts for Liriano. No score at the end of 2 innings. Far the state last year. Pirates beat the Dodgers 6-3 at Chavez Ravine thanks to a big game from Josh Harrison. Driving in Barnes with a single in the 5th to tie it, then singled him in again in the 7th to give the Bucks the lead and kick off a 3-run inning. The Pirates would take 3 of 4 from the Dodgers during a 4-game set this time last year. Well, Jay Hay was smiling for certainly 3 out of the 4 nights. He's the grumpiest guy down there, isn't he?
Man, always having fun. He loves playing the game.
He has a lot of fun. Top of the order up, Gregory Polanco, second time around facing Shields. Gregory flying to center field to lead off the ball game. Tries to bunt. That's going to die on the grass, and a base hit. That is our first bunt base hit of the year. How about that?
And that was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And Colonel happy. There must be something inside going on. You know, maybe there was a little challenge for Gregory Polanco getting a bunt down fair. You know, even where the third baseman Middlebrooks was, I mean, he was even with the bag, but so far from the line, there's nothing he could do. Polanco looking behind them, making sure that thing stayed fair. He knew if it stayed fair, it was a knock.
Now Walker up with Polanco, threat to run at first. Polanco, the team leader in steals with 12. And you're the hitter behind a guy like Polanco, Rock. How does that change your at bat when he gets on? Do you take a pitch, let him go if he's got the green light?
Well, I think it all depends on who's on the mound, who the pitcher is. I mean, if you have a guy that's slower to the plate, you know, going in that they're going to take their chances on stealing bags, you'll be a little more patient. You know, if the guy's quick to the plate, maybe you'll just take your same approach. I know a right-handed hitter, it's a little easier to see the runner break, and so you could be up there taking your normal stance, getting ready to hit, and then you see that runner take off, and you can just take a pitch. But you know, a left-handed batter, it's not as easy.
Quick throw to first, and Shields has one of the best pickoff moves by a right-hander. In fact, he's got the 12th most pickoffs all time by a righty, 31.
Polanco, it's so weird. I mean, I'm not used to seeing guys going back, diving back to first, reaching with their left hand. He obviously is a left-handed thrower, but more times than not, you see guys reach with the right.
Well, this is the reaction in the dugout from the skipper on the bunt by Polanco. They're happy with that. They want him to do more of that. That's the Pirates' first bunt base hit of the season. Took 48 games.
Yeah, especially with his speed. He put some pressure on the defense.
And Walker to left field, a base hit. And around second and heading for third is Polanco. Pirates have runners at the corners and nobody out.
Good aggressive base running from Gregory Polanco. I wasn't sure at first if he was going to try for third, but obviously with a left fielder, normally nobody out, you don't want to risk making the first out at third. You see the sweet swing from Neil Walker, stays inside it, gets a pitch up out over the plate. But Upton had to go so far to his left. He's not in a very good position to throw as he fields it, so that's when Polanco makes the decision, hey, I can get there easily.
2 on, nobody out. Great RBI chance now for Andrew McCutchen. Got a free pass his first time up in the first inning. 29 RBIs for Kutch. Well, this is going to get one in. Polanco will tag. Kemp with the catch. No, Polanco's going to stay. Good throw by Kemp. Walker advances to second.
Good base running by Neil Walker. Nobody out. Third base coach Rick Sofield playing it safe. Don't want to make the first out at home. Kemp, pretty good throwing arm, a good, strong, accurate throw. It would have been bang, bang at the plate. But nice job by Walker, recognizing, seeing the high throw, and getting himself into scoring position.
I think in other situations they probably send him, but I agree with you. I think that at this time, no reason to make that first out at the plate. You've got a guy with a good arm in Kemp. Polanco runs very well, though.
Well, if there was one out, there's no question that he's going to send Polanco from third.
And Marte now a chance to drive him in. Second and third, one down.
And you factor in who's on deck. Marte with the 33 RBIs that leads this club. Infield playing in up the middle, and so that's what you want from Marte here. You want him to get on top of the ball up the middle. You at least get one home. If it gets through, drive home two.
Oh, the throw to third base, and safe is Polanco. There's one you just don't see very often. The throw to third on the pickoff move. You don't see that much since they've taken that bluff move out of the game. But Polanco got his left hand back, it looks like. Middlebrooks tagged him on the chest.
Yeah, very close play, and obviously that play was put on. Middlebrooks and Shields have some sort of sign. The timing play. Middlebrooks breaks as Shields lifts that front leg.
Oh, one pitch pulled foul. Now it's 0-2 to Starling. The Allegheny Health Network Supermole will slow this one down. See how close it was.
And that's where,
man, just got there.
And that's where reaching with that left hand probably makes him safe. If he reaches with the right, he has more body towards the third baseman Middlebrooks.
And this one gets behind him. Here comes Polanco, tossed to Shields, and Gregory is out.
Always a tough play, good athletic play by Shields, getting there quickly. A lot of times the runner from third will beat this throw to the plate because the pitcher doesn't do a good job of getting there early enough. The ball gets away. You'll see Shields set himself up. Marte will be safe at first, but the play at the plate, Shields is there. He gets the glove down.
Ooh, or did he? Clint Hurdle's out. They're going to challenge. Pirates are going to look at this one. Polanco might have worked his way around the tag. We'll see.
Well, that's the one thing you always see at the plate, too. If that glove doesn't stay down in front of the plate and it comes up, watch it come up. Does the foot get underneath it before the tag? Hard to tell with that one. That angle won't show you if that tag was made before that foot got to the plate.
Well, the challenge will be to find an angle that the home plate umpire is not in the way. The back of Polanco is not in the way. Just to find an angle that'll be clear and convincing. And he might have been safe, but again, it's a matter of the clear and convincing evidence to be looked at in New York. Here's another look.
Yeah, nothing clear and convincing there.
They cannot find anything that'll definitively show that he touched home plate before he was tagged by Shields, then the call would stand and there would still be a 0-0 game. A different angle here. Doesn't tag. That one there looked like he tagged him on the hamstring.
Still nothing clear and convincing. There's no way they can overturn this unless they have a different angle than we have. I don't think we saw any kind of shot that got his foot on the plate before he was tagged.
Problem there is that the home plate umpire, Corey Blazer, might be obstructing the view. Well, the replay operations center deliberating over safe or out. As far as Gregory Polanco is concerned, Clint Hurdle challenging.
Boy, this would be a big opportunity lost if this is upheld. You look at first and third. Nobody out, then second and third, one out.
There's not enough clear and convincing evidence the call stood. And because the call stands, Clint Hurdle doesn't have any more challenges to use today. Although he can, after the 7th inning, ask for help. Oh, runners at the corners and 2 outs. And again up with 2 outs is Jung Ho Kang.
That would have been an interesting play. That's a play where Polanco breaks on his own. He sees that ball get through the catcher, and he deems it kicks far enough away where he could beat any play at the plate. But it would have been interesting if he stays, and Norris would have had to throw at the first.
Well, Marte heading for second, throw down, not in time, and Starling Marte has stolen base number 8. 2 men in scoring position, 2 down.
Big leg kick from Shields, big jump from Marte. Surprised Norris even threw it. And that ball comes up on the middle infielder and kicks away. You're giving up a run when you had no chance of throwing out a runner.
Jung Ho takes a good pitch right there. 2-1.
Yeah, fastball pretty much down Main Street.
6 for 16 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Walker at third and Marte at second. Gregory Polanco is out at the plate. Reached in a bunt base hit. That's 2 strikes.
Yeah, that 2-0 fastball, especially Shields, as often as he throws the changeup and the curveball. That may have been the only pitch at Jung Ho, really, the only good pitch that he would get to hit this at bat.
Full count to Jung Ho Kang. Pedro's on deck. Here comes the payoff. And it hits him. And the bases are full of bucks for Pedro.
And again, James Shields, we talked about it. He's given up the home runs. But he has been very hard to hit with runners in scoring position. Just 151 coming in. He goes to a changeup, and that's why he's so good with runners in scoring position. Obviously not because of that particular pitch where Kang was hit, but he doesn't give in. Hitters are usually aggressive in RBI situations, and he combats that with off-speed stuff. And let's see if he can somehow get out of another jam here against Pedro.
314 average career with the bases loaded. Pulls this one foul.
Starts him off with the breaking ball.
Walker at third. Marte's over at second. And now Jung Ho Kang at first.
And Pedro got that big old hole again on the left side.
And this one down the right field line. Foul. Just barely foul.
That would have scored all 3. my guess, although Jung Ho limping badly. As he got around second going towards third, and as he goes to break down, it was a changeup he was hit with. Even though it's a changeup, it's still a pretty hard baseball at 85, 86 miles per hour. Got him on the outside of his left knee. That's going to leave a mark, and that's not going to feel good.
He says he's all right, so he'll go back to first. Pedro stunned that baseball down the line, but it's too far to the right. 0-2 to Alvarez. Bases loaded. Still no score. Top of the third. Ground ball. That's a base hit. Walker scores. Marte right behind him. And it's 2-0 Pirates as Pedro Alvarez drives in two with an opposite field ground ball against the shift.
That is so pretty. It is so pretty. I'm sure San Diego Padre fans are thinking, that's like a little weak dribbler right to the shortstop. Where's my shortstop? But Pedro's had 3 of these hits just like this in the past week. Change up, down and away. Look how far off the plate that is. James Shields is just a waste pitch. Just throw it as far away as you can and hope to get a swing and miss. Pedro goes out there and gets it, makes some contact, and picks up 2 RBIs.
Great adjustment against the shift. And so he had a hit taken away his first time up, hitting into the shift. Well, dugout very excited. Andrew is animated.
That's a big hit.
Well, Buck's on the board first. Cervelli takes a strike.
And what, again, it's the third time in 1 week he's driven in runs going the other way. And to me, if you're ever going to play a guy honest, that's when you're going to start playing him honest, when he starts beating you, doing what Pedro just did.
The Pirates score first. They're 17-6. 17 out of their 25 wins have come when they've scored first. So Cervelli awaits the 1-1 from Shields. 2-1. So I guess Pedro's even tonight because
he's way ahead of the game.
If they're not in the shift the first time he's got a hit,
he's way ahead of the game. That's first. He has 2 RBIs. Bucks are up 2-0. That would have been just a lousy leadoff single.
That's right.
I mean, so it's better off to hit a Weasley little grounder through a hole and drive in 2 runs than hit a bullet to right field and get thrown out at first.
So that's your expert description of that, a Weasley little grounder?
That's a Weasley little grounder. But it looks a lot prettier in the box score than that rocket that he hit the right that went 4-3.
Dunn takes off for third. He's going to be given third base. A stolen base will be credited for Jung Ho Gung. Runners at the corners now, 2 outs.
Yeah, can't go sleeping on Jung Ho. A couple times he's stolen third uncontested.
And the payoff pitch from Shields. Strike 3 called. Strikes out Cervelli. Francisco 1 for 2, but Pedro with a 2-run base hit.
Polanco hit a laser of a home run and had kind of a unique reception, let's say, when he made his way back to the dugout. And look at Pedro and Kutch and Jay all on the right, and the facial expressions. Kind of funny, isn't it? I asked a couple guys in the clubhouse, starting with Rick Sofield, what do you think those guys are thinking with those looks on their faces?
Boy, Pedro looks a little angry with Polanco, a little upset with him. I wonder what he's thinking there. I'm not sure. That's a good one.
Kutch looks like he just saw a ghost, and Pedro kind of looks like something smells bad.
They were very shocked about what just happened.
Funny stuff indeed. And you can put your own caption there, Tim and John. What do you think those guys are thinking right there?
Wow, I think they're thinking.
Can't believe it. They haven't seen that before, unless they were here a handful of years ago when Adrian Gonzalez hit one out that way. And Polanco will hit for power at some point in time in his career. And that was something else, what he did last night. And before you know it, he'll be in double digits in home runs and then in the 20s. And perhaps before it's all said and done, he'll be in the 30s.
And then Kutch pointing over there at the big bull after driving in 2 runs. Barmes pops this one foul. I can just imagine reading the accounts of the game tomorrow, saying Alvarez drove in the Pirates' first 2 runs with a Weasley ground ball to short.
Yeah.
Never heard it really described like that.
And, if the runner wasn't on third, it would have been an out. It would have been a routine out. The first time up, Pedro, the third baseman, was playing where the shortstop would have been, pretty much right where that ball rolled. But with a runner on third, you can't have the third baseman that far off the bag. So they had Middlebrooks, around that area. But the hole between Middlebrooks and the shortstop Barmes there was at least 90 feet between them.
Well, Liriano gets his 5th strikeout of the game, getting Barmes looking. Now he'll face the pitcher, James Shields. Shields is 4 out of 24 on this season.
Ooh, that's a good pitch.
I think Frankie thought so. Yep, right there.
The pitchers are up there. Home plate umpire will just, anything close is a strike. Just the way Cervelli was set up away, had to reach in, so it didn't look so good. And so Corey Blazer called it a ball.
James Shields, every time we hear his name, we're reminded by Bob Walk that he's out of Hart High School in Santa Clarita, California. Right to Andrew McCutchen, who will make the catch. Of course, that is the same high school Bob went to, and Pirates pitching prospect Tyler Glasnow. Point Park University tweet: does a pitcher's transition from American League to National League come with any challenges other than them now having to bat?
Well, new teams for the most part, teams that you're not familiar with. Shields obviously hasn't faced the Pirates. I think it helps on both sides. It helps the hitter after seeing a pitcher a number of times. It helps the pitcher, I think, after they get to know the hitters. That certainly plays a part. The ballparks, I think in certain ballparks you got to pitch a little differently. Especially if you got a short porch one way or the other.
High chopper by Solarte. That takes care of business in the Padres half of the third. 1, 2, 3 they go.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Chevy Equinox and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Day Automotive. We're going to make your day. Let's go Bucks!
Pirates with a 2-0 lead over the Padres on the UPMC scoreboard. We start the top half of the fourth inning. Nice night here at San Diego. There's a proud graduate of Hart High School right there. See, he's got his alumni sign right there.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah. What does it say? Hart High, there it is.
You almost think that Bob was rooting for the other team, huh?
He told me last night that it was a baseball factory.
A baseball pitching factory.
Yeah. Now, many people might not know this, but Bob did not make the Hart High School baseball team until his senior year. Tried, he got cut. Tried again, he got cut.
Probably because of his grades.
Maybe his grades in art class, you think?
Oh, yeah. It's a little rough. Although he did say also last night that big game James is only regular season. Bob is the big game pitcher postseason.
Well, they're still waiting for the statue. We want a picture of the statue of Bob we hear so much about.
The three-headed statue. He'll be in the middle. Shields will be on one side, Glasnow the other.
So it'll be the Mount Rushmore of Hart High.
Yeah, the Mount Rushmore
baseball. A 2-1 to Jordy Mercer. And a grounder toward the middle. Barmes snares it. Leaping throw. And he throws out his former infield mate.
Yeah. Doing it to his buddy. And Barmes still has good range, good instincts, good jump. And we've seen it so many times, that throw on the run. So accurate. That off-balance throw.
Shields now ready to face Liriano. One out, nobody on. And Frankie taking all the way. That's strike one. Well, it was very nice of the head coach of San Diego State come up, Steve Fisher, the basketball coach. Haven't seen him in a little while, and they had a big announcement here at the park today. Kind of neat. Pitch. And Frankie drills it to center field, but right to Almonte for the out. They're going to have an outdoor game here at Petco Park coming up this year. Yeah, basketball. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Liriano's done it at least 3 times this year. Hit a bullet right at the center fielder.
Polanco's 1 for 2.
Maybe the hardest ball hit tonight.
As a kid growing up, he wanted to be a position player. He didn't really want to pitch. And he signed originally as a teenager as a position player. That's a foul ball off the foot of Polanco. And ended up being a pitcher.
Right choice.
Well, we've seen that sometimes where guys hit their way into becoming a pitcher when they start their pro career.
Yeah.
It's happened to a number of players. 0-2 pitch.
One guy that I think is pretty much amazing. He's been struggling now. The Cubs bullpen guy, Edwin Jackson.
Yes.
He's signed as an outfielder.
As an outfielder. Yep.
And he was in the big leagues as a pitcher, I think, by the time he was 20. I mean, that was crazy. With the Dodgers, he came up. I don't know if that's ever been done.
Here's the 0-2 to Gregory. That's inside. Although he didn't have as rapid of a rise to the minor league system, former Pirates pitcher James McDonald also was an outfielder with the Dodgers. I noticed, I believe it might have been Terry Collins, who was working for the Dodgers then. Discovered he had a very good arm, and they tried him pitching. That worked out for him for a while. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Speaking of former Pirates pitchers, Jeff Karstens is here tonight. Saw him down by the dugout earlier today. Said hello to some of his former mates. There's a foul ball. Jeff decided this spring to hang him up. There he is. There's Jeff.
I mean, he I think surprised a lot of people. Was a really good pitcher there for a little while. Good breaking ball, knew how to pitch, knew how to change speeds. And he pitched hurt a lot. It may have shortened his career because there was, he was trying to prove himself as a Pirate, and he was a little sore and pitched through it.
Gregory hits one to center field. Almonte broke back, now breaks in and makes the snow cone running catch. Pirates gone in order in the top half of the 4th, up 2-0. That's our featured band tonight on Friday Night Rocks. Daily Grind just released a new CD called The New Wave. And they're currently in the middle of a 27-city tour, playing clubs all around the country. Pedro Alvarez with 2 runs batted in. Pirates up 2-0. And the pitch to Derek Norris misses. Norris, first time up, struck out swinging. 0 for 1 tonight. Takes up high. Liriano with 5 strikeouts for the first 3 innings of work. He has 17 strikeouts over his last 9 innings. That's impressive. He had 12 against the Mets. He had 6 innings of work, and then for the first 3 here, 5 more.
Pretty good changeup, 2-1 there. Norris, a pretty good take. See if he comes at him with a fastball, 3-1. He does.
Pirate fan gets that one. Third base coach Glenn Hoffman. Saw a bunch of black and gold in the stands last night. Seen even more here tonight.
Yep.
Wide in the 3-2. And Norris chops it foul. In fact, walking around the city today and yesterday, a bunch of people in their Pirate gear. It's a great destination spot to come to see the Pirates series on a weekend.
I went to lunch in Old Town with my nephew, and I probably saw 8 Pirate fans at the restaurant. And wearing the colors.
3-2 again, fouled off. It's into the tiny Pirate dugout. Dugouts here are small.
When you sit there and you think of it, and this happens every game, where the Pirates are in their dugout, and if you're a batter in the batter's box and you sit there and see where you just hit that ball, and you wonder, how is that possible that I can hit a ball in the Pirates dugout?
Norris battling. Again, another Pirate fan gets it. See? This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat. As Norris has seen an array of pitches so far from Liriano.
You see just a couple in the zone and not horrible placement. Down and in. See just off the plate. A couple on that outside corner. One at the top of the zone. He didn't get that strike called. The 3rd pitch.
Struck him out for the 2nd time tonight. That's 6 punch-outs for Liriano. Let's go back to Pittsburgh. Rob King standing by with his State Farm game break. Thank you very much, Rob. Francisco Liriano dealing some strikeouts again. Facing Justin Upton. And a 1-0. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes.
And even now, you're not sure what Liriano will throw. He has as much confidence in the changeup and slider as the fastball in terms of throwing it for strikes. And Cervelli wanted the slider, and they decided on the changeup.
3-0. Liriano falling behind Upton. Matt Kemp waiting on deck. And he's walked him on 4 pitches. And Liriano issuing his first walk of the night. 24th walk of the season. And his strikeouts to walks are good. 70 strikeouts to 24 walks. And considering how many pitches he throws that aren't strikes, that turn into strikes.
Yeah.
I mean, there are at bats, literally, you could go up there without a bat and get on first base. But his stuff is so tempting. And now Cervelli wants a word after that first pitch came in high. Well, Sunday, June 14th, the Pirates will host the Phillies at 1:35 on a Kids' Day at PNC Park. All kids 14 and under receive an Andrew McCutchen compression sleeve. compliments of Mrs. T's Pierogies. Fun starts with the #1 Cochran Family Fun Zone on Federal Street, and it doesn't stop until the kids run the bases after the game, courtesy of the original Pizza Laws. For tickets, go to pirates.com. Matching hats. Pitch to Kemp. In for a strike. 1-1. Kemp struck out swinging in the second. It gets away, and down to second base goes Upton.
Probably a pass ball. I only get ball bounced. It just looks like that late movement once again. Goes off the end of Cervelli's glove.
It will be charged a pass ball to Cervelli. The Padres now with a man in scoring position. 1 out. Takes the forced play off. And the 1-1 now to Kemp. Lays off the pitch outside. 2-1.
Well, we'll see what we go with here. I don't think he'll just lay a fastball in there for Kemp.
And strike 2.
Goes with the slider. Kemp, he's had some bad swings in this series. AJ fooled him a number of times, couldn't lay off of AJ's curveball. Liriano got him with the slider.
This next pitch will be the 19th of the inning. One out, Upton at second. 3 balls, 2 strikes. We'll get another.
They left that one up a bit. That's another slider. Got away with that one.
Kemp has appeared in every game this year for the Padres. He started all but one. Liriano's 3-2 offering. Struck him out. Second time Kemp's gone down on strikes. That's a big out right there.
And with each at bat, more boos aimed at Matt Kemp. And I think went back to the changeup after a 3-1 and a 3-2 slider. More downward action than left to right.
So 19 strikeouts for Liriano in his last 9 2/3 innings pitched. Going back to the last start against the Mets. As Glenn Hurdle might say, he's played a lot of catch.
Yeah. A lot of pitch and catch.
Will Middlebrooks doubled in the second inning. Raised his average up to 245. 2 outs. He takes the ball upstairs. 2-0.
And a lot of breaking balls here in this bottom of the 4th inning from Liriano. Very few fastballs. And even we saw it 2-1, 3-1, 3-2. A lot of changeups, a lot of sliders. What's he do here? 2-0.
Strike call.
Change up for a strike. And 2-1 counts for Liriano. I would say almost 90% of the time he goes off speed as well. Comes in.
Frankie behind Middlebrooks now, 3-1. delivers a strike. At the bottom of the zone.
Middlebrooks didn't like it. Fans didn't like it. Liriano and Cervelli like it.
Well, it was a little bit below the bottom of the zone. So Liriano with a 3-2 count on Middlebrooks. Time is called. Struck him out. He strikes out the side after walking Upton with 1 out. 3 more strikeouts for Liriano.
And he makes the catch.
That is as good as it gets.
We made something out of nothing. Then we made nothing again. Didn't like the prize, so we took it. He cranked it. Gung Jung Ho.
높게 날아갑니다. 3런 홈런.
Some of the plays of the week on Friday Night Rocks to the music of Turnpike Gardens. UPMC scoreboard 2-0. Pirates on top of the 5th. Walker, McCutchen, and Marte 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order to face James Shields. And Walker hits this one well to left center field. Almonte on the run makes the catch on the track. Walker's hit the ball well out here.
That was well struck. Unfortunately for Neal, Almonte was playing him into left center field. Good speed, made it look easy. There you see he's over there, maybe 10 feet towards left center. Good jump. Ball just kind of dies out there a little bit. An easy play. Neal's yelling at Pedro. You hit a little dribbler off the end of the bat, you get single, 2 RBIs. I hit a bullet.
Yeah. That's what happens. It's a funny game. 1-0 Pitts. And that's a strike call to the inside part of the plate.
Yeah, Andrew didn't like it, thought it was in. Change up.
Well, here's something, John, about the standings right now. Pirates have caught the Cubs. Cubs losing 8-4 to the Royals today in a home run derby game where the wind is blowing out at Wrigley. 5 home runs hit in that game. But the Royals came out on top, and the Pirates can move ahead of them. There's a shot.
That was an interesting angle.
Just looking up, trying to see where that camera could be.
Got the Root Sports blimp overhead.
That's a cool shot.
That's really neat. Pete Toma got his hovercraft, or what do they call him? Drone.
2-2 to Kutch. 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. And Shields ready to deliver. And Kutch asks and gets a timeout. Asks for and gets it.
Shields throwing him a ton of changeups because he tried to sneak a fastball by him. That looked like a little cutter.
Kutch out looking. 2 men out for the Pirates. Big and Rich are coming to your city Saturday, June 13th. Get to PNC Park to watch the Pirates take on the Phillies at 4:05. After the game, enjoy country music artists Big and Rich. It's the first Fan Jam post-game concert of the season presented by Highmark. For tickets or to watch the show from the field, go to pirates.com/concerts. Marte with 2 outs and nobody on. Big and Rich, a lot of energy. It'll be a lot of fun. Starling 1 for 2, had a base hit in the first, and then struck out in the third, but reached on wild pitch. One and one.
Marte upset with himself. Chasing the fastball out of the zone.
Foul tipped at that time. It's a 1-2 count.
2 outs, nobody on. I think Marte wants some instant offense. At least he's taking a couple of swings as if he wants to put one in the seats.
He did that last night. Hit his 10th of the year. I noticed a few of the Pirate hitters asking for time. Shields standing on the hill for a while.
He's not the fastest worker. Pretty deliberate.
Taking his time. Another night at the office. Karen Balsley, the pitching coach, he's into it right now.
Yeah. With aces, you'd think, pitching coaches, especially you get a big free agent sign like Shields, pitching coaches should be just sitting back in a rocking chair. Young guys, obviously, they're going to keep an eye on and study and might have some tweaks. But when you sign for the big bucks, pitching coach should be able to sit back and relax.
They do hang on every pitch, though.
Yep.
Inside, and the count is full at 3-2.
Well, he has pretty good command of that changeup. I mean, he purposefully throws it inside the right-handed batters, and for the most part, he's kept it right on the edge, down or off the plate.
Watch it. Ball hit hard down by the Bucks dugout.
Shields not giving anything to Marte to hit out of the ballpark as Robbie protected by the cameramen.
There's Greg down there for us. Hi, Greg. Greg's protecting Robbie in the pit. Payoff pitch. Struck him out. 5 strikeouts now for James Shields. Gets 2 in the inning. Pirates lead it 2-0.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network. Health for all. By Kenny Ross, Ask a Neighbor. And by Levin Mattress, located in all Levin Furniture showrooms and freestanding stores. Let's go Bucks!
Pirates 2, Padres nothing. Bottom of the 5th inning. 2 runs on 5 hits for the Bucks. Just 1 knock for the Padres. Jed Jerko facing Francisco Liriano to start the 5th. He grounded out the 3rd in the 2nd inning. 0 for 1 tonight. Hitting just 198. Two balls, no strikes. Mariano's putting together an impressive string of strikeouts. Struck out the side in the 4th. 2 Ks in the 1st inning. 2 more in the 2nd. And 1 in the 3rd. So he struck out 1 and at least 1 in every inning so far.
The 1st inning was pretty impressive. 7 pitches, 2 strikeouts.
2-1. Ground ball, that's through the shift. A base hit for Jerko, leadoff single. That ball was hit hard. 3 men on the left side of the infield, and he still got it through easily.
Found the hole. Slider, good location, inside corner at the knees. It's well placed.
Jed's aboard and the timer is called. Abraham Almonte struck out swinging in the 2nd. Tries to bunt, lays it down, there goes foul. Some of those, Rock, do you let them go or do you pick them up and take the out?
It's either near here nor there. pretty close play. I think he'd come up throwing right there. He'd pick it up. Almonte obviously has pretty good speed. You're dealing with the runner down the line, and still got to be pretty quick, make an accurate throw. Cervelli obviously could tell that it was going to go foul, so he just took the safe route.
Strike two.
Almonte taking the safe route as well, coming in with just a 176 batting average. We figured that a safe play, even though he's batting down the lineup in that 7th spot. Figured he dropped down a bunt. Worst case scenario, he gets a sacrifice. Best case, a base hit. That's a strike. Wow.
Pretty good looking pitch.
PMC Sports Medicine Strike Zone has that as strike 3.
1-2 to Almonte. They got him. Another strikeout for Liriano. He struck out Almonte twice. Strikeout number 9 for Liriano.
Racking him up, pulling the string, that changeup. Even when it's up, tough to hit. Out in front.
This is the 7th time in his last 10 starts that he struck out 7 or more. Facing Barmas for the 2nd time. Clint struck out looking in the 3rd inning. And he has been the only Padre who has struck out to go down looking. 1-0. Ground ball left side. Mercer dives, can't get it. That's a hit for Barmas. Jerko heading for 3rd. Marte's throw is not in time.
Another well-placed ground ball. It gets through. Mercer dives, slows it down by getting glove on it. So Jerko being aggressive, you'll see Mercer with just a little bit of glove to that ball. An accurate throw gets Jerko. If it doesn't pull Jung Ho Gung off the bag. But Marte obviously is an outfielder, not used to that off-balance throw.
So Jerko the runner at 3rd base. Barmas over at 1st. 1 out of the pitcher, James Shields, coming up. Shields' pitch count at 85 right now, so he's okay. He'll stay in. But what do you do here if you're the Padres?
My guess, typically when you have a pitcher, especially just coming over from the American League, you bunt him. But I think they're going to let him swing because he can handle the bat a little bit.
He takes a strike. No indication that he would bunt there.
Yeah, you have a guy that can handle the bat okay, which Shields can. He takes hitting seriously. Likes that about the National League game. 4 RBIs on the year. Why give them an out? He hit a ball right on the button in the 3rd, line out to center field.
Good block by Cervelli.
Glenn Hoffman wanting to talk with James Shields. That ball comes up off the midsection, able to pin it between the glove and the thigh. Yeah, Shields, I don't think had any interest in even looking down at 3rd base in case Bud Black wanted him to bunt. He took that pitch and never looked down anywhere near the 3rd base coach.
Now he shows bunt, takes low. And now he looks right down at Hoffman. Glenn Hoffman, pretty good infielder in his day. Shortstop. That's strike two. Count is even. 2 balls, 2 strikes to James Shields. Shields trying to be a tough out.
I think Glenn Hoffman was putting on signs there, and I don't think Shields bothered to look. He was kind of down that way, but I don't think he looked anywhere near his third base coach.
Liriano set, now the 2-2. Shot foul.
And that time he looked for a little bit, and then he quit looking. Glenn Hoffman was putting on signs. Shields looked at him for a minute or two and then looked away.
Liriano's 2-2 delivery to James Shields. Count is full. Padres with a tying run on base. Certainly Liriano doesn't want to walk him here. Got the leadoff man, Solarte, on deck.
We talk about it all the time. Liriano won't give in and just throw a fastball because it's 3-2, even with the pitcher Shields. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws him the breaking ball or the changeup.
Struck him out. Strikeout number 10. And Shields goes down looking.
And he didn't throw the fastball. A borderline pitch, up and away. A backdoor slider, it looks like, and he gets the borderline call.
Fourth time in the career of Francisco Liriano. He's had back-to-back strikeouts of 10 or more. As Solarte fouls this one off. He did it in back-to-back starts one time in 2012. That was the last time he did it. But that is some impressive stuff.
Yep.
James Shields, his latest victim. 2 outs and Solarte behind in the count 0-1. He's got 10 strikeouts and it's the 5th inning. Ground ball to third, right on the line. That's a fair ball, and Jung Ho throws him out. And the Padres strand 2 men. Go to the 6th. Bucks 2, Pods nothing. Winner. I'm Tim Neverett. Robbie Inchmukowski here as well. UPMC scoreboard says 2-0 in favor of the Pirates. As we go to the top of the 6th inning, Jung Ho Kang leads off against James Shields. Jung Ho is 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch last time up. He's got a 10-game hitting streak going. One of 3 Pirates to have a hitting streak of at least 10. Neil Walker and Josh Harrison, the other 2. Harrison's streak was halted at 11 straight. There's a high fly ball to center field. A few steps over to right center is Almonte. And he makes the first out of the Pirates' 6th. Pedro Alvarez up and back in the 3rd inning. Hit a ground ball through the left side of the infield to drive in the 2 runs that you see on the scoreboard now. And when he got to second base, old habits die hard. Our Point Park tweet asked if Pedro threw up the Z. The return of Zoltan, and then the guys caught him and said, hey, that's the wrong move. Wrong move. But if it drives in 2 runs, so what?
Yeah. Take it. And more we're seeing him cover that ball down and away. And I think, for him to have the numbers that I think he expects to get to, the power numbers, the RBI numbers, he's going to have to do some damage on the pitch away from him. And I think when he does that, he will see more pitches inside. Because until he starts attacking that pitch and doing what he just did, and he's doing it a lot here the last week or 10 days, pitchers will just stay away, hard and soft.
There's a ground ball. That's the base hit.
And that, if the second baseman was playing normal, would have been right at the second baseman.
2 for 3 for Pedro.
If you just have everybody playing normally, as you see, Pedro now getting pitched inside because he was able to reach a pitch away, and he turns on it and gets it through the hole. But look where a second baseman would normally play. Would have been right at him. It's not very often that he can hit a ground ball to the right side and make a turn.
6th hit for the Pirates tonight. Cervelli's got one of them. He had a double in the 2nd. Average up to 323. It's pretty solid stuff in terms of batting average for Cervelli.
Yeah, he'd be in the top 10 in the National League average-wise if he had enough at bats. Falls about a dozen or so short.
Right now, 124 at bats. Cervelli wants time. Again, Shields taking too much time. One out, one on. Shields a stretch and the pitch to Cervelli coming.
Maybe his best pitch tonight, that changeup.
You like it better than the curve?
I mean, I think he's had more success with the changeup than any other pitch. He's thrown some good cutters. He's thrown some good curves, but he's gotten more swings and misses off the changeup.
One and two.
Look at his numbers on that pitch over the year. That changeup throws it about 25% of the time. And he's had the most success with it. League hitting just 167 when they put that changeup in play. And there it goes again. Or there it comes again.
Even count on Cervelli.
Umpires don't even look at the ball anymore when it's in the dirt. They just throw it out.
On
I don't even think that one was in the dirt. I think it hit home plate. I'm thinking I don't think you're going to get a scuff mark from the plate. Back to the changeup. It's got good movement. Shields puts his head down after throwing that pitch thinking, man, how do you not offer that? How do you not chase that pitch? It looked like it was in the strike zone for most of its flight until dropping down and out of it. Good take from Cervelli. Another good professional at bat, a grind, as we often see from Francisco.
There goes Pedro, and that's ball 4. Alvarez started on the 3-2 pitch with 1 out. Cervelli walked, second time he's been on base. Patient at bat for Francisco Cervelli. Certainly seeing more pitches per plate appearance. Here's Jordy. Jordy's 0 for 2. Mercer tied his career high with 4 hits at Petco Park last year on the 2nd of June. Hit a home run in that game off of Tim Stauffer. It's behind in the count, 0-1.
If I were to guess in the Pirates lineup, who sees the least amount of fastballs on average, I'd say Jordy Mercer. I think the league knows he's a good fastball hitter. You know, he and Marte probably see more breaking balls than anybody.
Padres have some activity. Dale Fair is up. Right-hander. Strike 2 to Mercer. Well, it stayed foul. Had some English on it. Thought it might come back. But a foul ball nonetheless for Jordy.
Yeah, cutter. Right off the end of the bat.
James Shields always pitches a lot of innings. He'll go deep into games. The last 4 seasons, he's the only pitcher to have thrown 225 or more innings. In each of those innings, he's just thrown his 100th pitch. And since 2011, Shields leads Major League Baseball in innings pitched and complete games. It's over 1,000 innings pitched, and he has 17 complete games since 2011. Jordy Mercer with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. 2 on, 1 down. Shields eventually will throw the baseball here.
Change up again. Not getting the chase.
Well, Garces now, the left-hander. He appeared last night. So double barrel action for Bud Black's bullpen. Frank Garces and Dale Thayer.
Got the wave working.
Yeah, I guess the speed-up rules don't apply to tonight's starting pitcher for the Padres.
You wonder if that'll ever get addressed, if they're going to, make the batters stay in the box and everything else.
Hunters take off, and Jordy hits it up in the air to deep right center. Almonte on the run. He will make the grab, and the runners have to go back. A fine play by Abraham Almonte, taking extra bases away possibly from Jordy.
Yeah, Jordy's frustrated. He hit that ball pretty well, and ball will not carry well out the right center field. Almonte, good speed, covers a lot of ground. Off the bat, thought that he'd probably be able to get to it. for whatever reason, the little basket catch at the end. I don't know if he just kind of pulled up, but he got over there in plenty of time and kind of slowed up, and lucky he had enough glove. Infielder's glove. That ball lands safely.
Liriano takes ball one. Chance to help himself. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Abraham Almonte just barely got to that ball. That ball had a little carry, more than probably he thought. 2-0, and Shields appears to be laboring a little bit. Cervelli at first, Alvarez at second base, and Shields shaking off Norris. Now he agrees. And Liriano's had enough and wants time. I mean, how many times have we seen that tonight? But you're right. I agree with you, John. I mean, they're doing everything they can to get the batters in the batter's box, but tonight is evidence. We've got to do something with the pitchers.
Yep.
Pretty much this season they've been great, but James Shields is
taking his time.
Wow. I guess we've become accustomed to the quicker games. Seeing pitchers work a little quicker than normal. Popped up. Shallow left. Shortstop Barmes is out. He'll make the catch, and the Pirates will leave 2 after 1 hit. They're 5.5. It's the Pirates 2, Padres nothing. Lines on Friday Night Rocks. Bud Black, James Shields. Talking about a few things. Padres down 2-0 to the Pirates. Bucks up here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
They look like they're talking over signs.
It looked like it, didn't it? We won't see Shields spot come up for quite a while as the number 2 hitter Derek Norris.
I can't imagine another pitcher hitting in this game for the Padres. I can't imagine Shields going out for the 7th. But he will hit again.
Well, Norris 0 for 2. He has struck out twice. Third time around the order for Liriano. Go inside and missed. Ball one. And ball one, strike to Norris. Good Barnes and James Shields with a discussion. And a 1-1 inside, 2 balls and a strike. Norris has 20 extra base hits this year. They're the most by any catcher. 17 doubles, tied for the most in the majors. He just cannot get around on Liriano here. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Anything that he's touched, he has not been able to hit solidly.
Another 2-1 off-speed pitch from Liriano. He's shown him a couple fastballs inside, and probably inside on purpose, just to speed the bat up a bit.
Just up and in. A full count. Well, you see some pitchers go in the dugout and they just sit there and take it in, and not James Shields. Struck him out for the 3rd time tonight.
That may have been his hardest fastball tonight. 94 miles per hour. Went with a 4-seamer, went upstairs. Pretty good call. Norris hasn't seen this pitch tonight. Chasing out of the zone.
11 strikeouts for Liriano. 1 more to match what he did in his last outing. Season high 12. His career high is 15. Upton. Strike 1. Upton tonight 0 for 1. He walked in the 4th inning and was stranded at second for going down on a pass ball charged to Cervelli. Just outside. We appreciate you staying up late with us from the West Coast. Kind of how it's going to be for the next several days. 2 more night games here in San Diego, and then 2 night games and an earlier game in San Francisco before heading back to the Eastern Time Zone. A 6 o'clock local time start here on Sunday. 9 o'clock Eastern, and you'd say, why is it that time on a Sunday night? Well, the San Diego Marathon takes place that day, and the finish line in the entire city of San Diego, where do you think the finish line is?
Right here.
Right here at this ballpark. Popped up, shallow right. Polanco will make the catch, and there are 2 out.
Outfielders haven't had a chance to play much in this game. Just 2 fly balls. Andrew got 1. Now Polanco gets a chance.
Kemp takes ball 1. Kemp has struck out twice. There have been a couple of players tonight that have had multiple at bats, and all they've done is struck out. Norris 3 times, Kemp twice, and Almonte twice. 1-1.
Yeah, ball's invisible to Kemp.
Gets a hold of this one, and McCutchen on the run to the gap, and Kutch will get behind it, make the catch, and the side is retired in order. Liriano rocking on a Friday Night Rocks on Root Sports. coach hugging Francisco Liriano. Outstanding night for him after 6 innings. 11 strikeouts and a 2-0 Pirates lead. Now Tyler Glasnow, Pirates pitching prospect, says congratulations to Hart High School Baseball for being real good at sports today. Good luck at the semifinals. Now Bob Walk and James Shields and Tyler Glasnow's alma mater beat Jay Serra 10-6 today in the CIF Southern Section Division I quarterfinals. And moved on to the semifinals in the baseball playoffs in high school. So good information there. Thank you, Tyler, for checking in on the telecast tonight. Frank Garces, 15th appearance for the left-hander, and his second in this series. Pitched last night. Nothing in 2 to Gregory Polanco. Polanco with a bunt base hit in the 3rd inning. He's 1 for 3.
You could see there Norris really wanted that breaking ball down and away and left it up. It was an 0-2 pitch, a little too high for Polanco, but if that's down a few inches, that pitch can get hurt. Try to sneak a fastball away on him.
Hard hit ball to Barmes, who backhands and throws quickly to retire Polanco. 1 out for the Pirates in the 7th. Fans, June 12th, the Bucks battle the Phillies at 7:05. First 20,000 get a free Pirates t-shirt presented by Central Blood Bank. Get to Federal Street early for a Friday night block party presented by Barrel Automotive with live music, food, and stop by the Leinenkugel Bar. For tickets, go to pirates.com/free shirt Friday. Digital pair. Walker's hit the ball hard a couple of times. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Shatters his bat. Now he's got a paddle.
Well, off the end a little bit. I guess he must have a cupped bat.
Yeah, half that barrel decided it was done for the night. So,
yeah, you can see it as a cup, so it hits the very end and just basically splits it in 2.
And with a new bat, hits it down to Middlebrooks at 3rd. 2 down. Walker is 1 for 4. And Garces will not face Andrew McCutchen. Bud Black comes out to get the lefty. He'll bring out a right-hander to face the Pirates center fielder when we come back to Petco Park. And Dale Thayer gets to step on top of the dirt hill. Third pitcher used by Bud Black. The right-hander will face Andrew McCutchen.
Even 3 ERA, 13 punch-outs in 21 innings, 3 home runs.
And McCutchen 2 for 6 against Thayer in his career. Thayer out of the stretch, the pitch. And McCutchen hits it high in the air to right field, but playable for Kemp. So Dale Thayer barely breaks a sweat. Throws one pitch. It is stretch time in San Diego. There in Philadelphia, right here, a 2-0 ball game. Jared Hughes takes over for Francisco Liriano. Jared will pitch the 7th inning, facing Middlebrooks, Jerko, and Almonte.
Already the 26th appearance for Jared Hughes. 2.86 ERA, and like the strikeout to walk ratio, 21-4. Keeps the ball in the park.
Middlebrooks takes fastball in. Middlebrooks doubled in the 2nd inning and then struck out swinging in the 4th, 1 for 2. Backs him off the plate a little. 2 balls, no strikes. Jared would like to roll some ground balls here in the 7th inning. Well, he's trying to find a strike, though, first.
Yeah, I don't see him miss that much. You know, first couple pitches not only in but a bit up, and pulled that 2-0 fastball across the body a bit.
And he walked him on 4 pitches. Take a look at our Nissan Road ahead. The rest of this series here in San Diego tomorrow. Same time for pregame at 9:30. Charlie Morton at 1-0 will make his 2nd start of the season. He will oppose Tyson Ross. And then on Sunday, it'll be Jeff Locke, the lefty, at 3-2, going against Elrisimer Despaigne, who is 2-3. As the rest of this series, before the Pirates will head up the coast to San Francisco. Open a 3-gamer on Monday night with the Giants.
Well, you said that name with great confidence. What last one?
Oh, what do you mean, Jeff Locke?
The last one.
Odorismer Despaigne?
Yeah. Very confident.
Well, was it wrong?
That's what I said. No, that's why. I mean, you could say it with confidence because you knew you had it right. Oh.
It's one of those. It's one of those names you have to know when you go in the series. That's the trickiest one they've got.
When you're a play-by-play guy, if you're an analyst, you could just say a right-hander.
The hard-throwing right-hander.
A right-hander. Normally, you could pick out one name or the other, like the first or last. With him, you got to go with right-hander. Despaigne is easy enough.
Here's the pitch to Jerko, swing and a miss. 1-2. Rock's going to write a book on pronunciations when he's done.
One thing you will not get from me: any books.
Slow chopper down to third, and no play for Jung-Ho. A base hit for Jerko. Now the tying run is aboard with nobody out.
A little bit of stress. Nothing you could do about that. That's just a good sinking fastball from Hughes, and the soft contact. You see Jung-Ho's playing back at third, and it's a do-or-die play. You barehand it, and even so, you might not be able to throw out Jerko at first. Everything would have been perfect. A strong, accurate throw still might not get him. So now 2 on, nobody out. The tying run on first. A great chance that Almonte will be bunting. And good speed at the plate. And that adds stress to the defense.
Almonte did try to bunt once tonight and lays off that pitch. Called a ball. Abraham Almonte has struck out twice.
And the key here, if he's up there sacrificing, Gunn is even with the bag at third. There has to be communication. Almonte is going to bunt the ball to the third base side, and there has to be communication, and somebody has to make a decision. First, Jared Hughes has to throw a strike.
Jared's been off target. Falls behind 2-0.
The Padres are giving you an out. You want to let them execute. Throw the ball in there for a strike, let them bunt it, and execute the play defensively and get your out.
Williams swing away, and that's to the gap. Coming around third is Middlebrooks. Jerko's going to score, and this game is tied. The Padres called off the bunt, and Almonte drilled a double to the gap.
And that's why I think you take the out when they're giving you an out. And throw that strike in there and let them get the bunt down. And now you fall behind 2-0. Bud Black being very aggressive here. Taking the bunt off, letting Almonte swing away. He was not having a good season offensively to this point, and it works out perfectly for the Padres.
Very first double ties the game in the bottom of the 7th. So Francisco Liriano, who left the game as the pitcher of record, now with a no decision. Archimedes Caminero loosening up. Runner at second, still nobody out. And Corey Spangenberg hitting for Clint Barmas.
I'm surprised they squared around the bunt. Clint Barmas is a guy that can handle the bat and get a bunt down. You're going to the bench. You only have 4 guys on your bench, and you're going to pinch hit a position player to sacrifice.
1-0 pitch. And he bunts it right back to Hughes. They'll throw to Walker covering at first base and take the out. Down to third base goes Almonte.
Boy, is that strange. That's a strange move right there. To lift Barmas. Barmas can get up there and sacrifice.
Yeah, he's a pretty good bunter. He's a good bunter for sure.
Especially if the game ends up tied, you go into extra innings. You got just used one of your bench guys, another bench guy coming to the plate now, Will Venable.
Well, not Jared Hughes' night. He's being lifted after getting just one out and giving up the tying run.
Pittsburgh Pirates and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
New ball game here at Petco Park, bottom of the seventh, one man out, tying run has scored. The go-ahead run is at third base. Jared Hughes out after a third of an inning. Archimedes Caminero will come on. The Pirates will play the infield in for pinch hitter Will Venable. One out, you always got to be wary of a squeeze. Venable will take a pitch that Cervelli thought might have been a strike.
Tough enough, I think, for a manager to ever put on a squeeze. You don't see it very often. I think it'd be a very gutsy call to squeeze against a guy like Caminero.
So Bud Black decides to do now 2-0. You're probably expecting a good pitch if you're Venable.
How about that? Venable can't believe it. Guy up there throws 100 miles an hour, comes at you with a 2-0 split, and a good one at that. Right down at the knees.
Ground ball to first. Pedro's got it. And they've got Almonte hung up. Dunn running him to the plate. Cervelli will try to chase him down. Now Pedro's going to get him. In the meantime, Venable gets all the way to second.
And that's why there's no problem going with the contact play. And that's why you would risk, sending the runner on contact from third. If you have two good base runners, in this case, you get in a rundown, you still end up with a guy in scoring position. So really not much changed. Pedro holds on to the ball, gets the runner going back to the bag, and where he came from was what you want to do. It takes a couple extra throws, but it's an out. But you tip your cap to Almonte if you're a Padres fan because he did what was needed to be done. You stay in it long enough to get the batter into scoring position. And if you're Venable, you're upset that you don't drive the run home, but you got to get on your horse and make sure you can get in the scoring position.
Solarte, the first baseman, up. Takes ball one high. Yangervis Solarte was with the Yankees last spring. Saw him down in Florida, then came out here in June, and he was with the Padres by then. Ooh, good play by Cervelli. Good backhanded scoop. Able to keep Venable right where he is at second.
Yeah, that's a pretty good block. I mean, he doesn't get down. I don't think he thought he could get down to his knees to keep that one in front of him. You know, he was set up away. He yanked it, pulled it in. Off the plate inside. Nice pick. He tried to play it off, too, as if it got away. Maybe get Venable to bite.
Strike called to Solarte.
Looked like it might have been down. UPMC Sports Medicine has it right at the knees at 98.
Two outs and the 2-1. Caminero falling behind Solarte. Sitting here 3-1 in this situation as a hitter. What pitch are you looking for out of Caminero?
Anytime you face a guy throwing this hard, you can't look for any pitch but the fastball. You got to gear up and get it ready.
And he gave him the split.
And that's why they throw. It's amazing. I mean, you can't look soft. You can't look for a breaking ball or a split. 3-1. 3-1, you're looking dead red. Unfortunately, I mean, that's pretty poor discipline. I mean, you're looking dead red fastball, but you got to look for it in an area where you can get the barrel to it. You just don't blindly swing.
Oh, he walked it. Came back to get that second strike. That pitch way outside. And now 2 on for the Padres for Derek Norris. And Norris, you'd have to think, is a bit frustrated. He was definitely frustrated by Liriano. Liriano struck him out 3 times swinging. Two on and 2 out for San Diego. Bottom of the 7th. They've tied the game here this inning after being stymied for 6 by Liriano.
And I think of Norris's at bats tonight. And I didn't think they were like, obviously he was over 3 with 3 punch outs, but he worked the count. He saw some pitches, fought off some pitches, and they weren't horrible at bats, even though it was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. So I think Liriano made some good pitches. As Norris has very good numbers in these situations. I guess that's, he's for being 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Obviously, it's pretty bad as Caminero gets ahead 0-2. But it's kind of silly, I know, as I say here, that they weren't that bad at bats because he saw a bunch of pitches.
Well, get ahead 0-2 here. Well, Caminero could use a strikeout. And out anyway. And he strikes him out. 4th time Norris has gone down on strikes. 98-mile-an-hour fastball out of the right arm. It's now a 2-2 game. It's a right-hander that's hit the most home runs in PNC Park's history. Corey Hart challenges A.J. Burnett as the biggest Batman fan on the team, and there's much more to come. It's Inside Pirates Baseball, presented by Allegheny Health Network. Debuts tomorrow at 9 on Root Sports. 2-2, top of the 8th inning. Spangenberg remains in the game. He'll play third base, so Middlebrooks will move over to shortstop, replacing Barnes. And the new pitcher is Joaquin Benoit. 22nd appearance for Benoit.
Another guy that's given up some home runs out of the pen. Opponent's only hitting 147 against him. And almost a strikeout printing, but 3 taters.
Archimedes Caminero getting the strikeout of Norris, throwing one by him. He threw a couple by him. And Norris with the sombrero tonight, 4 strikeouts. Well, the pitch from Benoit. Marte takes a strike. So this will be the first time in 8 games a Pirates starter will not have a decision. Whatever the decision is for the winning or losing pitcher, it'll go to a bullpen member. But Liriano certainly pitched well enough to win. Jared Hughes in the 7th ran into a road bump. He normally comes up pretty clean in those situations, but the leadoff walk to Middlebrooks on 4 pitches is a bad indicator.
Yeah. Never good, especially when you're in 1 or 2 run game or tie game. Give them a free base late.
0-2 to Starling Marte. 1-2. And Almonte with a big hit after he was sent up there to bunt. Count got to 2-0. Padres took it off, and he drilled his first double of the season to the left center field gap, scoring Middlebrooks. And Jed Jerko also scored all the way from first base.
Fastball at 94 from Benoit, ties up Marte. Benoit with fastball, slider, split.
The last outing for Benoit was Tuesday in Anaheim against the Angels. Had a scoreless 8th inning there. One-two Kelly to Starling Marte. Nobody on, nobody out. Folks had foul out of play.
Able to waste one, Benoit. Another deliberate right-hander for the Padres. Tried to get Marte to chase the slider. Marte wasted.
Ben Potenziano, one of the trainers, talking with Kutch. And it's a 1-2 pitch coming from Joaquin Benoit to Starling Marte. Broken bat roller down to third. Spangenberg throws a little bit low, dug out by Solarte. And there's one gone for the Pirates in the 8th.
The speed of Marte, can't waste any time. Still gets him by a step and a half.
Marte now 1 for 4. Here's Jung Ho Kang, 0 for 2, hit by a pitch. Ball 1. Benoit is one of 4 pitchers in the big leagues this year, one of 2 in the National League, to have 4 or more wins and a save. The other National Leaguer is Santiago Casilla of the Giants. Dylan Betances of the Yankees and Daniel Robertson of the White Sox, the other 2.
And there's the split. Jung Ho was thinking of regaining the lead for the Pirates. Big cut out in front.
Jung Ho ready for the 1-1. A pitch outside. Well, the call last night by the Korean announcers from NBC and Seoul. I don't know what they said, but it sounded real good.
Yeah, they were excited, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was a great call. 3-1.
See if he gears it up for a fastball. See if he gets it. Try to get the barrel out. This is where you cut the plate in half. Looks for something. If you're looking to pull it, look for a fastball middle in and get the barrel out. If it's not there, take it.
Ball 4. Pirates have the go-ahead runner on with 1 out. Jung Ho has been on base now twice without a hit. Pedro Alvarez the batter, and the Padres will shift over. They'll hold Jung Ho at first base. Middlebrooks will shade the bag at second. Third base side wide open for Pedro. But they're going to play in the area where he rolled it in the 3rd inning.
And their outfield's crazy deep. Center fielder, look at them. We can't even see the center and left fielder. They're like almost on the warning track. Right fielder Matt Kemp, not quite as deep.
And strike delivered. Pedro's just faced Benoit once in his career. He's 0 for 1 against him. Batting .248, 2 for 3 tonight. Joaquin Benoit delivers 0-1. And Pedro files it back. No balls, 2 strikes.
Elevated fastball. Pedro thinking.
And Almonte's basically on the warning track. Well, he's moving in now. But they are just super deep in the outfield for Alvarez. There's a lot of grass out there. There's the 0-2.
With the split. Boy, what an 0-2 pitch he got. Back in the 3rd inning. Change up. It was probably down, definitely away. It's 6-8 inches off the plate away. He was able to go out there and knock it through the left side for the Pirates 2 runs.
Benoit takes a quick peek over at Jung Ho.
Hang it.
Struck out Alvarez. So 2 out for the Pirates now in the 8th.
Yeah, good location. Went with the split, and it's down and it's away. See the movement. Bottom dropped out of that one. Pedro couldn't get a piece.
Benoit to now face Francisco Cervelli. Frankie takes outside for a ball. 1-0. 1 for 2 tonight. Cervelli had a double in the 2nd inning. He has struck out and walked. Pitch a little closer than it appeared to be.
Yeah, pretty good location. Not a good location there. Hung one.
Yeah, Benoit got away with it. You know, you talk to pitchers and they don't talk about the pitches that they get away with all the time. Well, we know it's late out here on the West Coast, but might want to stay awake. One and two to Francisco Cervelli.
A split, pretty good movement. I feel like it broke just off that inside edge, but Benoit gets the call.
Benoit's pitch to Cervelli. Struck him out. Joaquin Benoit strikes out two. Pirates leave a man. We'll go to the bottom of the eighth. All even. Well, Tony Watson takes the hill now as we get set to start the bottom of the eighth inning, along with John Wayner, Robbie Mikowski. I'm Tim Everett. 2 runs on 6 hits for the Pirates, 2 runs on 5 hits for the Padres. Pedro Alvarez, 2-run single in the third. Then the offense tonight for the Bucks. Francisco Liriano, another 11 strikeout game. Almonte's 2-run double in the 7th, tied it off of Jared Hughes. James Shields tonight, 6 strikeouts, giving up 6 hits over his 6 innings pitched. And now we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Justin Upton, Matt Kemp, Will Middlebrooks, 3, 4, and 5 to face the Pirate left-hander Tony Watson.
And hard to find many lefties better than Tony Watson. He's just given up a couple of home runs this year, 3-run shot and a solo shot. That's all in terms of earned runs. Very tough to hit. The league hitting just 157 against him.
And the pitch to Upton. Strike called. Here is the 0-1. That's up high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Upton tonight has reached base 1 time. It was with a walk. Craig Kimbrell, the closer, loosening up. Former Atlanta Brave. In front, a swing and a miss.
Upton looking for number 13. Thought for sure he'd get the fastball. Another changeup. These guys have seen a lot of changeups, both sides, Pirate hitters and Padre hitters.
popped up, fouled back. Brooks getting ready. He's a couple of hitters away. Matt Kemp on deck. Look over the shoulder of Padres manager Bud Black. Two and two now. There is Kemp, who has gone 0 for 3 tonight with 2 strikeouts. And the 2-ball, 2-strike pitch. Just outside, just off the edge. That fills up the count to Justin Upton.
Pretty good pitch. Change up just a bit outside.
To right center and a base hit. And the Padres have the go-ahead run on in the 8th.
Fastball went away. Pretty good swing from Upton. You don't see Tony Watson's fastball get hit hard very often. That ball hit right on the button.
Well, it's a battle here at this ballpark. Pirates have won a handful of games here in the last few trips in. They've done better here than they've actually done at home recently against the Padres.
Yeah, the Padres have given the Pirates trouble at PNC.
There's a ground ball. Walker's got it. Goes to Mercer for one. Spins, throws, double play. What a play by the Bucks infield.
Yeah, that's a huge play right there because of the shift and everything else. I mean, not your typical ground ball double play. A lot of things had to go right there. First of all, Neil Walker's playing Kemp up the middle, so he has to go to his left. Look how far Mercer is from the back. So you'll see here the Chick-fil-A double play. Mercer had to go a long way. Walker had to turn and get it to Mercer. Mercer had to turn to get it to Pedro, and still they get Kemp by a stride.
2 down, and Middlebrooks takes a ball. That's a terrific play. It comes at a big time, too, after the leadoff single. Cleanup man Kemp's had a tough night, 0 for 4. He's responsible for 5 outs. Center field, playable for McCutcheon. And Tony Watson has made 16 straight scoreless appearances. tomorrow. Charlie Morton takes the mound for the Bucks. Coverage starts at 9:30 tomorrow night with Pirates pregame presented by WB Mason. That's right here on Root Sports. 2-2. Hits are even at 6 apiece. Top of the 9th inning. Now, you know, Tony Watson hasn't given up a run on the road since opening day in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, as always.
This guy's pretty tough, too, here.
Yeah,
Craig Kimbrell.
Also outstanding. And never changes that expression, does Tony Watson. He looks like that no matter what happens. Kimbrell, 21st appearance, 12 of 13 in save opportunities. Surprising ERA. And an even 5.
Kimbrell will face Jordy Mercer to start the 9th inning. '27-year-old Craig Kimbrell.
He too has given up some long balls.
Jordy, good fastball hitter, hoping to see when he can drive.
First one at 98 gets by him.
Odd stance that he is known for. And Jordy will take a strike. Nothing in 2. Jordy awaits the 0-2 from Kimbrell. Here it is. And he struck him out, put it past him. 98 miles an hour. And Mercer is out on strikes. That's the 3rd straight Pirate to strike out. Benoit got the last 2.
This fastball came right at him. Got it by him. It's heavy. It's hard. Kind of stays on the same plane.
Jose Tabata to face him. Jose hitting .333. Jose 1 for 3 in his career against Kimbrell. Looks at a ball outside. Yeah, that 5 ERA, that's more than triple what he has in his career as an ERA. He has given up 3 home runs in his work this year. Tabata will take a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rob Scahill loosening up. One. 2 balls and a strike. They had a thing on the scoreboard between innings earlier in the game where the players read funny tweets about themselves.
Yeah.
And the one about Kimbrell was from some young fan in San Diego, said that he looks like he's got his arm around his imaginary friend when he's getting ready to pitch. Jose hits one toward the middle. Middlebrooks on the run makes the throw. There are 2 out. So 2 down, top of the 9th. Back to the top of the order, Gregory Polanco. What makes a guy like Kimbrell as effective as he has been?
Explosive fastball, upper 90s, and he has a nasty slider too. It's not just heat. It certainly has nothing to do with that. I don't think that has anything to do with his success. It's when he releases the ball. And that's a nasty looking slider to go with 98. to both sides of the plate. I mean, what are you going to do with that? Bottom of the zone, corner?
Not much. That is a filthy pitch. One and one. Gregory with the bunt base hit in the third. Spider-Man is here. Spins a web. Any size.
Catches thieves.
Just like flies. And Kimbrel kind of with a Spider-Man stance.
Yeah, when you get up there as a left-handed batter, you gear up for some heat, and you get nothing but breaking balls.
One ball, two strikes, and the pitch from Kimbrel struck him out. Kimbrel comes in, retires the side in order, strikes out two, and we head to the bottom of the ninth in San Diego. On the board, Pedro Alvarez hitting against the shift, driving in 2 runs. It was a 2-0 lead. Francisco Liriano, in the meantime, continued to punch out Padre after Padre. 11 strikeouts total for Liriano tonight. Matt Kemp a couple of times. Almonte a couple of times, but it would be Almonte in the 7th inning off Jared Hughes, doubling into the left center field gap, scoring 2 men to tie the ball game. First double of the season for Abraham Almonte after he was sent up there to bunt. When it got to 2-0, Padres called it off, and he hits the double, and we are tied at 2 runs apiece going to the bottom of the 9th inning.
That's a weird place to have a cameraman. A few blocks away.
Well, he was on his way home when the game was tied, so he couldn't go all the way home. Here's Rob Scahill making his 17th appearance.
Another great pickup by the Pirates. Doing good work. A 1.45 ERA. Another guy with a good arm, good fastball, good breaking ball.
Scahill will face the second baseman, Jed Jerko, who was 2 for 3 tonight. Morgantown's own. Played at WVU. And that pitch outside, 2-0. Scahill falls behind Jed Jerko right away. Scahill 3-0. This is what Hughes did when he came out of the pen in the 7th. He walked the first man. That was Will Middlebrooks. And now Scahill trying to come back from a 3-0 count. And he will deliver a strike right there. And there's the culprit, Abraham Almonte. A 2-run double in the 7th to tie it. And there is ball 4, and the Padres have the potential winning run at first base.
Yeah, never like to see that. And once again, a bunt situation here.
Almonte will look out at Scahill, switch hitter batting left-handed. He wants time. Saw a lot of that early in the game with Shields on the hill. A lot of the Pirates waited forever in the batter's box and ended up calling time. And Almonte tries to bunt. Did he offer?
And again, they're going to give you an out, take the out. It wasn't until a 2-0 count where Bud Black took the bunt off and let Almonte swing, and he had the big 2-run double.
Might be one of the things Cervelli told him is, hey, take the out. Pirates and Padres going on right now, the only game remaining in Major League Baseball for this Friday night / Saturday morning out east. Comes the 1-0, and Almonte puts it down. Scahill will go to first, and he throws it away. Jed Jerko will go to third and hold there. An error on Rob Scahill puts 2 men in scoring position. The winning run now 90 feet away with nobody out.
Yeah, just an easy little throw. Maybe 30 feet away. Just yanked it.
Brent Hurdle coming out to talk to the entire infield as well as the battery.
And my guess is you probably load them up. Then you get the force out at every base.
So Spangenberg will be the hitter. Alex Amarista is the hitter on deck coming off the bench. We'll see if they elect to walk him or pitch to him. Well, Spangenberg at the plate. They will walk him and load the bases. And this would at least create the possibility of a force out at home plate and possibly a double play after that, but first things first. Spangenberg intentionally walked. Sean Rodriguez putting a glove on right now. You gotta wonder if the Pirates will go to that 5-man infield again.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Did that in Chicago. And now Spangenberg takes his place down at first base, and looks like there'll be a defensive substitution as Sean Rodriguez is up on the top step of the dugout. Gregory Polanco is going to come in. So Rodriguez will replace Polanco. And now the Pirates are going to employ the 5-man infield for the second time this year. They'll work to cut down the game's winning run and go with a 2-man outfield. They'll take a gamble that Alexei Amarista is not going to hit one out there. Amarista started at shortstop in the game last night, coming up for his first plate appearance here tonight.
Well, Amarista already this year has hit with the bases loaded 4 times. He's 0 for 4, and he has struck out twice.
This is his first pinch hitting appearance on the season. .188 average. Five-man infield for the Pirates. Nobody out, bases full. And Amarista ground ball to Walker. He'll come to the plate. They'll get one.
Third. Oh! Get rid of it.
Cervelli did not throw to third. They had him dead. And he held the ball.
You can't be thinking that the runner isn't breaking from second, but that's exactly what happened. Unbelievable. Almonte, what was he doing? You'll see the overhead. This is a nice little pick from Walker, and he gets it. Look at Almonte. He's just standing there next to second base. Like, what's going on? But Cervelli obviously is watching the play. I mean, you can't see the whole field, but my goodness, that would have been a huge break for the Pirates.
So the bases are full. The infield is in again, and the leadoff man, Solarte, at the plate. Strike call.
Man, that could have been huge. We saw what the 4-5-4 triple play, the 4-2-5 double play.
It's pretty unusual. And the 0-1. And a ground ball. That's past the mound. Mercer coming to the plate. Yes. Cervelli's there. What 2 outs.
What a play. That is a heck of a play by Jordy Mercer.
And now the infield can move back. You'll see this play again here as Mercer makes a terrific throw.
Yeah, he's going to his left, which makes it even a more difficult play. You got speed at third base at Almonte. And my goodness gracious. And Cervelli, all you got to do is have a foot on the plate. And there could have been confusion there. Like Sean Rodriguez, if he keeps charging, probably an easier play for him. But fortunately, maybe Mercer called him off. Able to make the play.
And here is Derek Norris. Norris has struck out 4 times tonight. A good stretch by Cervelli, keeping the foot on the plate, making contact with it. Spangenberg is down at third. He would be the winning run. And this one is hit well. And this ball is gone. Derek Norris with a game-winning grand slam. (6-2) San Diego.
Boy, the way the Pirates been swinging the bats, the way they've been playing, coming in here with the 7-game winning streak, you just expected them to pull this out. You expected the Pirates to pull it out. I wasn't surprised that with the bases loaded, nobody out, the Pirates were able to get the 2 outs, still have a chance. But wow, what a shocker that is. Norris, hard to hit the ball out in that part of the ballpark. I didn't know if he had enough strength. I thought McCutchen would be able to run it down if it stayed in the park, and he would have been able to run it down if it stayed in the park. But Norris, a hanging breaking ball. Miserable night for Norris, 0 for 4 with 4 punch outs. Ends up 1 for 5 with 4 RBIs.
This game turned around. The Pirates defensively were picking away. Who knows how things would have changed had Cervelli thrown the ball down to third base.
So many different things. You can't just say that. I mean, obviously that would have been huge probably out of the inning, but leadoff walk, you throw away a bunt. A lot of different things happen there in that inning. It's obviously very frustrating to lose this game up 2-0. The Pirates are going to win most of the games when leading after 6.
Well, a tough night, as it turns out, for the Pirates. Walked off here in San Diego. Game-winning grand slam off the bat of Derek Norris. 6-2 the final score. Let's go back to Pittsburgh. Rob King and Kent Jacoby.